Ladies and gentlemen, I've already made a tier list on the most broken characters, the highest potential characters in Chaos Zero Nightmare, and we were working on one for Season 1 Chaos Manifestation for Zero Laboratory. But you guys wanted my opinion on, well, the PRYDWEN tier list. So let's check out the PRYDWEN tier list. And I see the first thing they have is that they've made a dimensional Twilight, which I would assume would be more closer to like highest potential characters, but probably with their own limitations, as well as a Chaos Manifestation tier list. Now, I know they originally said they weren't going to do this, and they said it's way too hard for us to judge characters with the infinity possibilities. Listen, you're gonna have to do it at some point, brother, right? You're gonna have to do it at some point, brother. So I guess they decided that they're doing that. So we're gonna go quickly overlook the Twilight. I kind of want to look at the Chaos Manifestation one as well. Also check out my video in the future video about Season 1 Chaos Manifestation, because I think it's slightly different. So tier 0, we have Hugo as well as Mei Lin. Wow, crazy. Sure, I think whoa, they have Yuki here. I expected her to be like tier none. All right. I agree with Mei Lin. Okay, Hugo, I can get just overall, like he's got one of the highest damage floors in the game. So he's very easy to use. And so where we are right now in Dimensional Twilight, like things aren't tanky enough to really need max potential. Like my combo Cassius, I don't even get to go through all of the combos for the guy dies. So I could see him there, Mei Lin there. Yuki, and Rin, I feel like Rin should probably be up here. Like she's harder to use, but like her potential is just higher than Hugo. Haru, I think goes up one more. You guys know this. The other ones I'm not too skiffed about. Veronica being support DPS tier 1. That I would knock her to 0.5. I would knock like this is not like my highest potential tier list at all. Cassius and Nia need to go up here. Like Mika's great at doing AP, but she's dog drawing cards. And I know if we go in here, they're not going to be like, yeah, dude, just draw a card on Source of Water. That's why she's S, right? I'm sure if we go to criteria, manual play, no shit. Divine Epiphany is not included. All right, so this Divine Epiphany not included thing, you have to draw a line somewhere. I understand it, but those like change characters. You add a Divine Epiphany, draw a card to a 0. It is way different than adding Divine Epiphany, draw a card to like a Magna 2 cost, right? So the highest potential list is really why I made my list that way. Yeah, all three of these characters belong in tier 0. I don't care who you are. Rey also belongs in tier 0 as a character. I don't care. She's just that good. I don't care if supports in general are busted in this game and there's like one that's left behind a little bit in the form of Orlia. Rey, Nika, Cassius, they all go up there with Mika. Support DPS, I don't know why Selena's way down here in no man's land. She's like a slightly worse version of Veronica, slightly better in some situations. So you guys are high having her way down there. Yeah, I agree. Amir can be tier 2. That's fair. We can do that. That's okay. These other ones, I'm fine with. I don't even have Veronica listed as support DPS really in my mind. I just have her as support. You know, what's a support DPS? Veronica doing some damage with Ballisters, or Cassius dropping, I don't know, 17 3,000 damage cards for 0 mana each. Is that a support DPS? You know, so this is a little cope. Beryl comes down, Veronica comes down. Yuki here, I agree with, actually. I don't know how they got to that. I think it's probably because she's super self-sufficient. The rest of this, whatever. All right. This is just like, I don't know. It's like somewhat makes sense, but also this is a popularity tier list. Honestly, if you went on Google and you just like read Reddit of like who was getting hyped up the most and looked at some YouTube videos as who was getting hyped up the most, you know, and made a tier list off of that. Mei Lin, Hugo, Tressa, yours truly, Veronica's everywhere, Mika, Beryl's everywhere. Is like, check out my Beryl, dude. She does like turn 17, bro. You know, like whatever. She's still good, but it's a little overhyped. Rin being down there is so weird. I'm surprised they don't have Luke in tier 0.5 because there's so many like watch me do content with Luke out there. I'll show you he's good. Brother, if your DPS characters and stuff are doing less damage than like Cassius not being listed as support DPS blows my mind. Anyway, Chaos Manifestation. They still have him listed here, which honestly, I actually really enjoy Cassius in a lot of Chaos Manifestations. I use him all the time. I don't know if I'd put him in 0, but I might put him in tier 0 as Chaos Manifestation. And here's why. And this is even at E0, right? This is even at E0 for Cassius, and that's because Cassius has way too much control over your turns. He's just too good at doing that. So like, oh, thank goodness I actually had this available to alt tab. Like you have so much control over stuff. You can go find the best card out of your deck. Once you have E1, you can find the best card out of your deck or out of your discard pile. It sounds good, but it's even better than what it really is, right? Have you ever had that run where you're like, damn, if I had that one card, I wouldn't die here and I'd actually win instead. Another version of that card in your deck for you, right? This character right here is insane. Shuffle. A lot of the times what I do if it pops up is I actually take this version of Shuffle because like I'm playing cards out of my hand. I'm using most of my stuff anyway. And I take this version if it pops up and you're like, oh, this Josh just seems bad. It doesn't draw you a card or anything. No, but I get to go, hey, this is like my round 3 in Chaos Manifestation. Let me go find up to the 5 best cards that I've played before my deck shuffles, put them on top, draw them next turn, and I get to play with the best 5 cards of my deck again. You know, I get to go put like, if Shadow Heal, Shadow Reload, if I don't have the initiation version, if I'm playing with Tressa, it'll usually be like Shadow Reload, Vital Attack, Mika's 0 mana heal, something he does for 0, and like Curse Agony for weakness again. And it's like, just easy turns consistently over and over and over. He's fantastic. You build him for damage. He's pretty good there. You'll get random value out of his quest. Even if you don't get like the crazy ones, you're either gonna be drawing cards, doing free damage, getting heals for free. You can do this for AoE damage in certain circumstances if you want. You can do this for big chain damage if you pop off with the right team with him in there if you want to. There's a lot of crazy stuff you can do with this character. He's just super consistent, but that's not the only thing. The other thing as well, and this is all E0, mind you, this skill is bananas. It's only 4 EP. It only costs 4, and it puts 3 morale down on enemies. Each stack is minus 20%. So like, I basically, any elite monster, any wave of normal enemies I have to fight because there's no other path to the boss or whatever, and it's just a wave of attacks or a giant giga attack or something. I pop this thing with Miko Tressa, and then I weaken it with one of Tressa's cards, and the dude's got minus 60% damage from morale, and then you've got minus 25% from weaken. Or the final boss sometimes hits me for literally 2 or 0 damage. It is dumb. I'm just, oh, he's gonna hit me with his big cleave. 1 damage. No, it's dumb. And it gets even better if you have some of his imprints as well. I think his E5, his E4 gives it 5 stacks of morale down, which is crazy banana sandwich. And then heaven forbid you ever get E6, which I wish I had. Whenever you complete a quest, it does morale reduction to all enemies, which is crazy. He also boosts damage for your whole party just off of his potential. Getting this potential is insane. You know, you get morale or in fortitude if your health is above 700 every time you complete a quest. So like, you don't even need to do the chainy infinity thing. You can just be like, play a bunch of 1s, get a quest, play a bunch of, each person's card, get a quest, draw a card, do it a couple of times, get 2 stacks of morale and 2 stacks of fortitude every turn. Okay, you're suddenly doing way more damage and not taking any damage while he's doing crap tons of damage and helping you cycle through your deck. This character is just insane. I didn't want this to be a Cassius video, but like the fact that this dude isn't in tier 0 on either one of these blows my mind. So I guess we went into it. Somehow Ray's here, I guess, because she can eat your cards. They value eating your cards and exhausting your cards with her mechanic more on Chaos Manifestation than in Dimensional Twilight or outside of Chaos Manifestation, and that's wrong. You're going to have cards in all of your characters' decks. That's what we know about how to use the save data limit now. You're not removing every neutral out of your deck. So she's always going to have value, even outside of Chaos Manifestation. That's why I was like, that's crazy that she's in tier 1. Beryl being up here, tier 0. Yeah, dude, I guess Beryl's just as good as Veronica. That's wild. Not sure about that. Tressa, I play her in a single team inside of there. She's good with these two. Veronica, I agree with 100% there. I could see Tressa in 0.5 because even when I'm not comboing out, you know, I'm doing like the shadow reload, heal, make a shadow dagger thing, I just use like the traditional shadow dagger one. And I'd honestly put her up in 0 mainly, specifically for this Chaos Manifestation, if we were to do just for this one, because there's so many enemies that want you to hit them multiple times. There's so many hunger stack mechanics for enemies. Both the first floor boss and the second floor boss have mechanics that want you to hit them multiple times. The new enemies that they just added to it want you to hit them multiple times because they change their actions based on what you're doing to them. They added the new little Dream Devourer guys that will cycle through like normal attack, giga attack, one shot you attack every time you attack them. And she's really good at dealing with all of those mechanics too. So for this, for sure. But if this was for season 1, I'd put it up there. Beryl, I mean, just being able to use AP on other people and drawing cards and stuff is probably fine there. I have a hard time putting her in tier 0 though. For sure, but I 0 or 0.5 is fine with me. Haru, all of these DPSs, I'm fine with. They work pretty well out of the box. Mei Lin can be a little hit or miss if you don't get some of her if you don't get some of her cards until like the end with the way that the season's set up, it's a little rough, but she's pretty fine there as well. And Chaos Rin in 0.5, dude. I'm a Rin lover. She's good, but man, can she fall apart real fast? Because like a lot of the top performing Rin teams that you're going to be using outside, right, in Dimensional Twilight or outside of Chaos Manifestation, a lot of them have like attack cards that you don't want in your hand, and there's a lot more dead draws early on. It's like the first half of your Chaos Manifestation's like kind of garbage, and then by the second half of the second floor, you either have it together or you just lose basically with a Rin team. So like she's good, but man, she can be really volatile. The fact that Selena once again is down here in tier 1 blows my mind. Honestly, Selena and Beryl should be like right here in 0.5. I believe this character should be up in 0. She can stay there. Nia in Chaos Manifestation, even though I have her rated as like God tier character, in Chaos Manifestation specifically, I would put her probably down here. Because the difference between Nia with good save data and Nia with generic save data is worlds and wilds apart. Because you can go through a Chaos Manifestation and be like, I'm going to make the sickest Nia deck where you have like 2 Adagios and 2 of Nia's like Curiosity and all of the great 0 cost stuff, and her deck's really small. Maybe you got a couple of neutral cards to draw cards on top of what she does, and her deck's just basically like 0 cost with a couple of 1s. That's fantastic, and it's broken. It's absolutely broken, and she deserves to be like tier 0 outside of Chaos Manifestation. Inside Chaos Manifestation, though, man, when you're just kind of like doing a run and you're not focused on her, and you're duplicating cards for other characters and trying to get the Divine Epiphanies for other characters, and you're not really spending gold on making her deck smaller, you're trying to work on other characters, and you're just kind of left with like a Nia. She's not that great. So I agree with that there. These make sense. You're looking for tanks. Best tank, good tank, fine tank. There's nothing to say there. Amir, trash. And then, yeah, Yuki also. Basically what we're talking about with Nia, she suffers so much in Chaos Manifestation. And it's funny because like there's been a lot of complaints about Yuki and her feeling like she's a character that doesn't really play well with her own event, which yes and no, because it's like, oh, it's all weak to either, you know, Void or Passion, and it doesn't make sense that she's Order. But also, we just talked about with Tressa, right? In the end, there are a ton of most of the enemies in there, whether they're elites, there's normal enemies with it. The bosses definitely have it. They all want to be attacked multiple times in one turn, right? Whether it's to free your cards or change what they do, reduce their damage with hunger stacks. Yuki, in essence, her good build, the super self-sufficient build, is very good at doing that, right? Where you get in there with your Yuki, and you have all of the card draw that you want, right? You have Prepare to Subdue. You have the Epiphany for it, right? Where you're drawing 2 cards of your own, whether it's, you know, the version that gives you damage decrease or the version that gives you damage increase. You have that set up, right? So you're drawing cards, you're getting epiphanies on your flash slash to make them either 1 or free. You're getting epiphanies on your not that doesn't get one, on your Trickery Strike to turn it an attack card that makes it a free 260 mod, right? Oh man, you'd have it all. You'd be doing all the mechanics. You'd be hitting all the things, just like we talked about with Tressa. The problem is you can't be guaranteed to get all of that stuff lined up right away in a row to make her be able to deal with those bosses' mechanics very well. Tressa can just cast Shadow Daggers. I'll use Shadow Daggers. I'm Shadow Daggering, right? You can focus on doing that relatively easily in her curses and stuff. And she's also Void. So she's got like Void going for Inch. She can hit multiple times pretty easily. Whether it's Advanced Shadow Dagger with Retain and Retrieve and lining it up with her normal stuff, or her 0-cost Shadow Daggers. Whereas Yuki's got to go get like the full kit and caboodle to like hit multiple times. And until then, she's just kind of generic, not really doing anything, very susceptible. And a lot of her best partner, Nia, is also a character who kind of needs their deck together. So they kind of struggle together in Chaos, which kind of sucks. It kind of holds Yuki back, the fact that Nia is held back in the Chaos manifestation environment. So that makes sense there. Lucas and Owen, dude, I mean, if we could make a tier 3 just for you, brother, I would do that. It does blow my mind that everyone's still sleeping on Cassie. I mean, you call 0.5, you know, people say that I'm sleeping on Beryl too, but it's like, because I'll have Beryl in like tier 0 or tier 0.5 or whatever, one away from 0. And Cassius in like tier 0 for outside of Chaos. And it's like, yeah, dude, I get it, man. You do that. Cassius is like 17 times the turn. My man putting out like 30,000 damage could do more. The boss is dead, and I could do it again next turn and next turn and next turn and next turn. Like every turn after turn 2, you can do it. All the while he's doing more than just doing damage. And to compare that to like Beryl, I'm like, yeah, there's a tier difference there. So I don't know. You let me know what you think about this. I think it's okay. It's pretty spot on for the most part as far as like inside Chaos manifestation. Outside though, my brother, we have some problems over here. All right, we have some problems over here. Until then, guys, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.